Happy Thursday, everybody. Henry here with Wisecrack Live, thanking you for being here with us. Michael will be on shortly, and we're going to have a good day. I'm glad to see all the banana appreciation going on in the chat. We'll be with y'all shortly, just wrangling up a few comments last minute. Once again, thanks for joining us, y'all. It's Henry here with Wisecrack Live. We'll be with you in just a moment.
Wow, the first comment I see when I look down is Honeyman 1917 saying, "Bring us the bald man." I don't know who that is. I guess that's a side character or something. What's up, guys? It's Wisecrack Live. Sorry for starting late. And confession right off the bat, I'm gonna have to take some bites of food early on today's stream because I haven't really gotten to eat a lot yet, and eating's important. I'm of that age where maybe it's low blood sugar, maybe it's something else. I can get a little loopy. But hey, glad to see everyone. Did we just decide to call me Mike as a bit today? Is this like a collective bit I missed? I'm here with producer Henry.
Hello.
We got stuff to talk about today. So what is with this Mike bit? Is this a bit, Henry, or is this earnest? I'm so confused.
This is new to me, but I mean, I know you prefer Michael. I myself also find, I don't know, the Mike comments are getting to me.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take bald man or bold man over Mike any day of the week. There's requests to take the hat off. I'm not gonna. I mean, everyone knows if you've been here for a while, you know when the hat comes off. We have a number that is established. Once that number of concurrent viewers is met, guys, the hat's coming off. You're gonna see what's going on underneath, and I'll tell you this: it'll surprise you. It will surprise you. Okay, we got a lot of stuff to do as normal. What are we gonna do today? We're gonna talk about. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna look at some comments. I want to talk. There's an article about degree inflation and jobs that require college degrees that don't need them, which I think is interesting to look into. Got a lot of videos loaded. Should we just throw on? Is the TikTok thing still live? Because I
Let me
got it in the
check.
playlist. Yeah, I'm just gonna click it. We'll see what happens in the watch together.
For the CEO to be
Oh, it resumes shortly. Okay. Cool. Oh, but now it like rewinded all the way to the beginning, right?
most
Let's see.
bipartisan committee on the Hill.
Yeah, so we'll maybe tune back into this later, guys. There's a what is it? A Senate trial, a Congress trial about TikTok because the government's going to try to shut it down because they hate your TikToking.
We're all being mind controlled into making NyQuil chicken.
Oh no. And what's up, members? Good to see you. Let's see. Well, let's start with this. Let's look at some comments from the last week. I guess, Henry, I'll read them in the order they showed up in the email,
Yeah.
starting with the man I swear to God. Oh shit, Dead Card 13 gifted 5 memberships right off the bat. Cass B gifted 5 memberships, guys. We got competing lords of the chat. That's really cool energy. If you don't know this, guys, lords of the chat are those that gift memberships to other, and it's a really cool thing to do. That's really pimp that y'all did that. We really appreciate it. There we go. Excited for all the new members. Lark the stems if you want. It helps us out. So there you go. So let's start with some comments. Are they up, Henry? Or is the first one up?
Yeah, I'm ready to fade the first one in when you're ready.
Okay. So we'll start with some comments from the stream last week. First one is, man, I swear to God, I love your channel, but the pauses make this unwatchable. And the fact that you've acknowledged that some viewers hate them and you keep doing it just feels bad. There are other formats that this stream can take that is not video based. Reading articles, having other people invited, or simply talking to the chat on a topic would be great and wouldn't give the opportunity to pause so much. Please, I like the stream because I like you, but I don't like the stream. Listen, never say that I don't take criticisms seriously. I will say the hard part here, this is what I've really learned in doing the stream, guys. You can't please everyone because, there's times where some people are like, if you pause once more, I'm going to drive my car off a bridge. But then other people are like, it's fine. We don't care. So, hey, what's up? It's 1709 Lira 0072. First time catching it. That's great. It's so good to see all the green usernames in there. That's fantastic. But know that I love you. If you aren't a green user, and it's just great to see Cass B here, real legend of the chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that comment's funny. Yeah, I'm still finding the balance of how much we pause videos. It's sort of like when we watch videos, sometimes it's a little bit of annotation, but I appreciate the person liking the stream, even though they don't like the stream. So there you go. And, even like they bring up reading articles, having other people, all great ideas. So, hopefully we keep doing this. Honeyman's watching for the bald commentary. Let's see. What's up, CCJ2? Julia, glad that you're here. Beatmaster, agreed. The next comment is, where is this? God damn it. I like this channel's scripted videos, but I cannot follow a video on a bank collapse when you cut in multiple times in a single sentence with random thoughts. And it's 1:30 a.m., so some of the inability might be on me. I appreciate the confession there. 1:30 a.m. is hard. That's a hard time. But again, it's like, holy shit, Jacob Tran in the chat gifting 10 memberships. Oh my God, Holden Black's here. Good to see you, Holden. This is crazy. Let's see. Vox agrees that, we got to pause sometimes. If you're getting gifted, be sure to thank the Lord of the chat who gifted you, like the stream, pay it forward, all those sorts of things. Love the energy. It's good to see. The next comment is, Michael Burns looks like John Benjamin, but sounds kind of like Seth Green. This one's haunted me all week. The John Benjamin thing I've gotten before. The sounding like Seth Green thing I've never heard before. Henry, I'm going to ask you a question, and you can just be honest. There's no wrong answer. You're not going to offend me. Do I sound like Seth Green at all?
No, I get the H. John Benjamin bit, but no,
That
I
makes
don't
sense.
really hear the Seth Green at all.
Because I think of Seth Green as having more of like a, bit of a nasally, like whiny kind of thing. And that's not to disrespect Seth Green, a legend in his field. But yeah, guys, it feels like Patty's Day with all the green in here right now. So that's really fantastic stuff. So yeah, I don't know. And it's weird too. People talk a lot about celebrity doppelgangers. We never talk about voice doppelgangers. But yes, I do think, gun to my head, if you were going to say to me which relatively notable celebrity do I look, it probably is H. John Benjamin, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. He's a cool guy. Okay, so these are some comments from coming up now. Our video on disruption. Hopefully you watched it. It was a fun one to make and talk about, but there you go. Thanks, Tyler. I think I'm a little more fit than John Benjamin, slightly more so. Let's see this comment, and this is from a great friend of the show, Aoife, who I know sometimes watches, but not live. So, and I normally don't say who left the comment, but I don't think she would mind. I used to work as a copywriter for a marketing company where we would write, among other things, thought leadership articles. Woof. Which was essentially taking on the official opinion of our client and writing an opinion piece from that perspective, but presenting the opinion piece as educational. So I'm still recovering that part of my soul. Wow. Tyler was told they look like Philip Seymour Hoffman and Zach Galifianakis, two legends of their field. Yeah. So I like this because, again, so much stuff that's written on the internet is that these days. Most copywriting for marketing companies is just like made up stuff in the voice of a company trying to convince you of something. It just sucks how much crap is on the internet, but there you go. Marcus said the video that blew my mind was gig economy when disruption came close. Hell yeah. Juan Ortiz says, show me the meaning coming back. Probably not, but you should listen to Cinemythology. If you guys don't know about this, Raymond and Austin, who used to host Show Me the Meaning, have a film podcast called Cinemythology. It just came back from hiatus. I will say that I was on the first episode back on The Last Temptation of Christ. It was pretty fun. So check that out if you haven't. Again, thanks for liking the stream. Thanks for being here. This is Wisecrack Live. Michael Burns with producer Henry. Hanging out with you, bringing all that Wisecrack vibes you love in a live setting with lots of pausing. But I like that comment just because, again, this world of thought leadership, Jesus Christ. I was watching a documentary. I won't even say what it was. I was watching a docuseries, and the guy, I think his name's like Seth Godin or something, was featured in it. And on his Chiron or whatever, the bottom third, it was like Seth Godin, business philosopher. And that really made me want to put an ice pick in my skull. That, someone self-identifies as like a business philosopher. Adam H is right. We should have some more likes. I'm just saying it. Honeyman says, I can't sound like Seth Green because if I did, he would end his life. So there you go. Next comment from this one. Someone said, does anyone remember the assembly in elementary school? And this is probably a very American-centric comment. If you're not from America, I'm curious if you had anything similar in school where they told everyone to sell candles or chocolate, and if you sold enough, you could get cool prizes. Yeah, that was an MLM. So a multi-level marketing scheme. Dem did lick the stream. It's okay that you lick the stream. Let's see. So that's just a great reminder how much multi-level marketing schemes and business scams are built into the fabric of elementary school. Did you ever do something like this, Henry, where you would have the assembly and they would give you the shit you would sell? And
there'd be like chocolate bars or like it was like M&Ms and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so much scamming was built in. The thing that wasn't a scam, and this might age me, I think we've talked about this on here before. Someone in the chat brought this up, was the Book It program, where if you read a certain number of books, you'd get to go to a pizza party at Pizza Hut and get a personal pan pizza. That was kind of my shit.
Yeah, I didn't have anything like that, but I remember there being a system of like you could do tests on books to collect points and then cash in the points for prizes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was fun. Let's see. Someone brought up, I haven't seen Mellow Gel in a bit. Hopefully they're okay. But people have stuff to do. Brett said, as someone who's in my third interview for a new job and wondering if I should go back to college, and I missed the college discussion. You did not. You did not. We're still warming up. We are warming ourselves up. Henry pocketed the cash. That dude is a criminal. Henry, he might be. Next one, someone said disruption is super, super, super rare. Actual disruption means you had a once-in-a-lifetime doable idea that established players didn't think of or want to. Most disruption is financial engineering to get around regulations. Turning your workforce into contractors isn't disruption, it's just undercutting labor regulations. For sure, we have technologies that are real. Someone's guessing my height a little higher than what you're guessing, but you're pretty close. But yeah, I think we get in the video, like things like Uber and Lyft aren't disruption. They're, like this person says very clearly, engineering around financial regulation, turning their workforce into contractors for the sake of undercutting labor regulations and having the least amount of sort of like employee responsibility as possible while making the most amount of money as possible. So, there you go. What's up, Troy Walker, the progressive anarcho-communist? Great username, very straightforward, and we know a lot about you because of that. But yeah, it was a sick comment. Someone else said, every time I hear disruption, I hear more ways to get rich people richer and the rest of us fucked over. You're not wrong. What are good forms of disruption? I'm trying to think. What forms of disruption are good? What's a thing that disrupted anything that I like?
We
I don't know, I guess
enjoy
like
Patreon, like we say in the video.
Yeah, someone in the comments was so mad about that, and they were like, "I can't believe you're promoting Patreon. I might stop supporting this channel." And I didn't ask, but I wanted to be like, "What the fuck is wrong with Patreon?" It's like, also the thing with Patreon, I know it's backed by some venture capital and stuff. It wasn't started by tech bros. It started by like musicians. It just makes me fundamentally like Patreon more that musicians started it. I think that's a cool thing. But there you go. Ryan realized they got gifted a membership by an email notification. Hell yeah. I forget who, so someone said unions, strikes, disrupting monarchy. That's good disruption. The French are disrupting this week. Anti-colonial revolution, good form. There you go. Not having lead in everything, says Hassan Harris, for sure. Again, thank you for everyone who's donating memberships. It's a real chill thing to do. Let's see. Christopher said, Michael's 5'9", 38 years old. Should I work at the fair guessing? You're close on some things, off on some other things. Lunatic says a laxative can be a positive disruptor. Penicillin, that's good. Gregoria, I don't think there's anything wrong with Patreon in that. Like, it's still a mechanism of like the digital capitalist economy. But it is, out of all of the content-based platforms, it just is the one that gives the most money to the person who creates the stuff. So there you go.
I saw Napster in the comments. BitTorrent comes to mind as an actual disruptive force.
Yeah, Napster was sick. Hey, Alex Giraffe says, been a longtime fan of Wisecrack. First time being on time to the live. Glad that you're here. Very psyched that you're here. Last comment, disruption just means ignore labor rights and regulations until you've destroyed all competition. I mean, not bad. Vox says it depends on how you define disruption. Also, Vox podcast, guys. If you guys aren't subscribed to that podcast, why? Will be my questions. Maybe check it out. If you're not subscribed to both Vox podcast and Cinemythology, get on those. But he says if you ignore the buzzwordiness and just drag actual progress, YouTube disrupted corporate media. Hell, Xerox disrupted the printing press. I mean, it's boring to say, but I think YouTube is a good example.
And
Alex, thank you so much for watching the Bo Burnham videos. Those were fun to make. And there you go. Tyler is right that I'm 8 feet tall, 600-year-old, 1,200-pound lizard person. That is 100% true. So there is nothing flawed about what was just said there. Okay, lots of stuff to talk about today. And I would say today, a Harris hole could happen. It might not necessarily happen. We're in that weird place where Johnny's last video came out almost a week ago. Maybe all of you have already watched it. It is on a topic I think we like on banking stuff. So there you go. Bobby Pine said Patreon and Bandcamp would still be better if they were worker, producer, co-owned, but they're still the best platforms out there. Yeah, I agree. So there you go. What else? I normally tell you what videos we have coming out. Let's think. I should really know this, guys. We have a video coming out soon. Are you editing anything right now, Henry?
Currently, I am not.
All right, cool. Asking just because sometimes if you're working on something, I'm like, oh yeah, that one. Oh, here, I know how I can tell you guys. I just remembered my secret mechanism. So we have a video coming out on AI art, which kind of asked the question: can AI make good art? I think we have a unique take there, which ends up being something to the effect of like AI art can be good, but not like how you think it can be good. So there's something like that. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, someone said, when is the philosophize this collab coming? Um, he's supposed to get in touch with me. I think April. Said he had a kind of busy month, so we would get back here soon. That we were doing April. So the philosophize this collab is 100% coming. So don't worry. Also, I reached out to our friend Helen Flourish this week to get her on the stream soon. She agreed. So there you go. Also fun here. You heard it here first, guys. So you are the first people to know this. Helen's gonna come back and do some hosting for us. I'm really excited about that. So expect to see Helen on the channel soon. I'm very excited about it. Someone said borrowing from last week tonight. What did we borrow from last week tonight thus far? The AI and art thing? Maybe that's it. I don't know. Okay, and then we have a video coming out next week on nihilism. I'm just going to tell you guys this. We've talked about this a lot on the stream. You have said, many of you have said, you're into the idea of us doing videos that are more explicitly philosophical, diving into big ideas. We made one of those videos. It's coming out Monday. If people don't watch it, we're not going to be able to make more videos like that. So I would really appreciate it if people watch the video on Monday, and if you like it, like share it. You know what I mean? Again, someone said, why did Helen stop? Money? No, I'll tell you why Helen stopped, guys. Is everyone ready for Michael Real Talk Don't Get Fired corner? Because here we go. I am employed full time by the company as a host and producer. In the last 6 months, we've had various points where we've had to cut back on spending. We've lost members of our staff. Our parent company has done rounds of layoffs. And Helen is someone that works for us on a freelance basis. It's been very hard to justify, in some cases, paying money for someone to come host when that's my job. Is hosting. And I think there was a point where we were trying to make 3 videos a week. And because we're not doing that right now, it's just kind of a matter of like, I can host 2 videos a week, and that's like literally what I get paid to do. So, but Helen's going to come in to give some wiggle room. And, we've my dream for a while was like wanting to get a series going that was doing well that Helen would host. And we just haven't had time and resources. We made our Wisecrack Labs video almost a year ago now, produced by the genius Evan Yee, which was a Helen hosted format that I loved. I thought we did a really good job at it, but it's just, only did it once, didn't take off enough, but there you go. So, but I promise I won't get fired. So there you go. But please watch the video on Monday. Let us know. But Helen's going to come back, do some stuff, but also follow Helen on social. She's like always doing cool shit. Someone said, so you admit this is a grift? I don't think this is a grift. I think it's a job. I think it's just like a job. Like I get paid money to write and host videos. So I write and host videos.
Yeah, a grift
Someone
would
said,
require some sort of subterfuge or deception.
yeah, for Michael, it's all about money. Good Lord, there are ways I could be making more money than this, guys. But I like doing this. Fun. I get to hang out with you all. So there you go. Beatmaster trolling me hard. Reading ads isn't your main job. No, if there's the thing I spend the least time on in a given week is reading ads. Ooh, we got an ad coming out soon, guys. That watch for the dead eyes is all I will say. But there's some real talk for you. What do you want to talk about? College degrees for jobs that don't need them. I think it's kind of interesting. We don't have to read the whole article, but want to check this out for a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can pull it up. Guys, this is a Vox article written by Rachel M. Cohen. Very random. Rachel M. Cohen, someone I think maybe 9 to 8 years ago had a drink with once with some friends because she was based in Baltimore when I lived there and I'm just going to TMI it, was dating a friend who's an editor at the magazine Jacobin. And I met this person and they've gone on to have a really good career in journalism. And I'm just here grifting. I'm just here grifting hard. Dirty Dan says, yeah, Michael trying to pay rent. Shake my head. 100%. Ryan brought up, last week tonight. Here's all I'll say about last week tonight. We did our psychedelics episode first, and they did one after us and used some of the same clips. And they did not copy us. I don't think anyone watched us. Some of it's just like zeitgeisty, but we did it. Oh, Matthew, you were joking. I'm sorry I missed your joke. I love you. Thanks for being here. I would love a Mountain Dew sponsorship. Okay, so yeah, Julia asked a really good question. Can we clarify what type of degree? We're talking about university degrees. For our non-American friends, when we say college, we're normally referring to a 4-year degree. In much of the world, one would say university. Hey, outright Tiny is here, whose sister works for a major biomed device company, was told that they're planning on doing some layoffs. That sucks. I guess Disney's doing layoffs. So let's look at this article. So I think something that's interesting here is like how many jobs require college degrees. I'll give my hot take that it means like nothing. Like what? You have a degree in history, you took some exams, you were stoned on and off for 2 years, maybe did an internship, some stuff. Like, when is that going to come into play in any job? I'll say this, like the only job I've ever had, that's not totally true, but like most jobs I've had, I would have been fine without college. Ryan said, where do you live in Baltimore? I live in the Hamden neighborhood of Baltimore. I will troll myself. I will dox myself for places I don't live. Whoa, Nelson's here. Thank you, Nelson. Nelson said, can we chat childism a bit? Those MLMs, as well as being treated like a child, can really mess up a kid. Nelson, I feel like you're a hacker. And I'll tell you why I think Nelson's a hacker. We literally started, Nelson, this week, my colleague Amanda and myself, talking and working on a video about how we're all becoming children and like the infantilization of society. So, Nelson, I think that's just like a really good idea. I think I agree with you. And yeah, that's just, you're spot on there. And I hope that you like the video that we do about it. So let's start reading this article. And President Joe Biden recently touted the hundreds. Oh, sorry. We got a comment from Dude Abides. Got to check this out. Also, thank you for liking the stream. Thanks for being here. Love you guys. And I'll say it. People don't say love enough anymore. I love you guys. Dude Abide says, have to dip out soon for work, rewatching Thug Notes and Earthling Cinema. Old school, man. And my nieces and nephews got me intrigued by Bluey. People love Bluey. Eating spicy ramen. Hell yeah, Dude Abides. And listen to the band Microblank. For everyone who doesn't know, Dude Abides is doing a What Are Ya? It's a segment that he invented. He's our guy, so there you go. Someone says, what are MLMs? Multi-level marketing schemes. James brought up Holy for Holies. James, I've been to Holy for Holies multiple times. One of the drunkest times I ever got in my life was they had like Margarita Monday once a year at this bar, Holy for Holies in Baltimore. And it was $1 margaritas that were pint sized. And I got so drunk, I got back to the house I was living in then. And I thought it'd be funny to try to break into my own room. Now, to be clear, I didn't live alone. I rented a room in the basement of this house from this woman that had a small child. And I broke in to this window in the basement and fell onto the ground laughing because I thought it was funny and they thought someone broke into the house. So yes, I've been to Holy for Holies. Nelson says, I fear it legit messes with critical reasoning skills to subtly get gaslit like that when adults so doubt one's ability to come to certain conclusions. For sure, Nelson, I'm thinking about this a lot. Some of you probably know this, but I'll just out it. I'm becoming a parent soon. So I'm thinking about this a lot and thinking about how we treat children and how there can be, how sometimes it seems like the infantilization of children, which maybe seems redundant, is maybe bad. And we were talking about this on the Discord the other day and people were helping out with that. So there you go. Obar is drinking Bailey's Irish cream with ice cubes. There you go. Why not? Oh, Obar, I think you're also in a part of the world where it's like evening now. So there you go. Ryan, I'm glad it checks out. Yes. Okay, back to this article, but the chat's really great. I love the chat. I like all you guys. Thanks for liking stuff. It means a lot. Devin, we will probably not be workshopping baby names on the stream unless my wife logs in. So when President Joe Biden touted the hundreds of billions of dollars invested into American manufacturing, he included a talking point that previous Democratic presidents might not have bragged about. New factories in Ohio, could offer thousands of jobs paying $130,000 a year. Many don't require a college degree. I think that is good. Leah, thank you so much. Caspi, thank you so much. Jacob, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And I promise I will not let this little kid ruin our stream schedule that much. Okay, maybe we take a couple weeks off, but like this kid's gonna know that you're my real children. You are my number ones. Okay, they will always be second to you all. Even those of you who are older than me, you are my children, and I love you. So there you go. Cornelius, yes, someone guessed the name. There you go. Okay, so right off the bat, like that I think. Kayla's here. Good to see you, Kayla. When a president says something like jobs paying six figures without a college degree, I'm just like, that rips. That is a good thing. When Biden highlighted those non-college jobs at the State of the Union, it was 3 weeks after Pennsylvania's new Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro eliminated the requirement of a 4-year college degree for the bulk of jobs in Pennsylvania state government. I mean, let's really get to the point. What is the point of having a college degree be a barrier of entry for most jobs? It's sort of like a class mechanism. Mellow Jello's here. We were just like talking about Mellow Jello, and now Mellow Jello's here. Speak and you shall get. And thank you so much for the positive thoughts, everyone. Honeyman with the really deep advice. I'm going to say this. Someone did just guess a name that was on our list that we're not using. I'm not going to say which one it was, but I will say a person who maybe lives in Michigan and is the guy, if you're getting pizza in Michigan, this is the guy who you want to deliver it. Guessed a name that was truly on our list. Caspi, thank you so much. But again, you guys will always be my first and most beloved children. Thanks for being here. Thanks for liking the stream. But when I think about, the relationship of college degrees to jobs, it's sort of like a way to make sure people who either are from a higher class strata or people in more debt are the ones who are able to get jobs. I think it would be one thing if like college education was something provided to everyone for free or like really, really cheap. But as soon as we make a 4-year degree the barrier of entry for certain jobs, what we're doing is sort of like class bifurcation, whether it's, implicit or explicit. So thanks for being here, guys. So yeah, let's see. And Utah's Republican governor did the same. Maryland's Republican governor set the trend, and Alaska's governor also followed suit. Maryland's new governor, Wes Moore, plans to continue opening up state jobs to non-college educated workers. Yeah, because it's sort of like if you're going to make people have degrees to get jobs, then you have to have easier mechanisms for them to get degrees. There's maybe a cynical way you could phrase this too, where it's like a lot of Republicans, before they would ever just make college affordable, would rather just make college non-necessary or something. Jeremy Williams, glad you're here. Thank you so much. Someone did the red mentioning thing. Okay. Yeah, Kurt. And if you do need to move back in with your parents, I'm one of the possibilities for sure. But just don't ask me for money, kids. Do not ask me for money. I am a grifter, but I don't have that much. Seriously wrong. Okay, Nelson, we will look into that. Let's see. Yeah, so for liberal politicians like Moore, Shapiro, and Biden, promoting policies to help the more than 70 million American workers who never graduated from college is rooted partly in politics, as Democrats have struggled to earn support from non-college educated voters, especially men. After decades of prioritizing college attendance, the Democratic Party has been scrambling to figure out how to change the widespread perception that its leadership are out of touch with the struggles of average people. I mean, that's fair. It's a fair out of touch thing. But the announcement we've seen haven't just come from Democrats looking to appeal to voters. And they're not even mere reactions to the heightened competition of workers. So let's go to this section that starts why so many jobs started requiring college degrees that didn't before. There you go. Let's see. Yeah, so Vox kind of says the thing I said might not be, whoa, Honeyman's girlfriend interrupting the stream. Very rude. Vox says, I'd argue it's explicit class segregation. If you're arguing that a job requires, say, a bar test, then you're putting a price tag on the job. No, for sure. And it creates that thing where like you have to have experience to get experience. You've had to spend money to make money. A lot of things, Michael Martin, your name is Gray. A lot of things that we take for granted that when you really think about them are kind of silly. It's like might be for older folks. There's a Mos Def verse, I think on the Common album, Like Water for Chocolate, on a song called Questions, where Mos Def says, Why do I need ID to get ID? If I had ID, I wouldn't need ID. And then there's a ad lib where someone in the background says, "Oh, that's right." And I've always thought about that because I think it applies to so many things in our society where like you shouldn't need a job to get a job. You shouldn't need a degree to get a degree. You shouldn't have had to make money to make money. It's very ridiculous. Thanks for being here, guys. Like the stream. So the story of college degree requirements creep begins back in the 1980s as employers started to hire globally for workers and tech automation started to change the nature of many domestic jobs. As routinized factory work began to be replaced by machines or outsourced to other countries, one consequence was a shift towards expecting workers to handle more social tasks with so-called soft skills that facilitate collaboration like conscientiousness and the ability to make small talk. Because of course you have to go to college to be conscientious and make small talk. But Honeyman, I like West Side Gun so very much. West Side Gun and Conway are two of my favorite musical artists. Fuck, what was I about to say? But yeah, and I think this makes me think too of how many jobs there are where like you go to college and you get a degree and you get a job at the business company doing business things, and your job boils down to like being on some meetings, sending some emails, looking at a spreadsheet, truly doing things that any like relatively well-rested 16-year-old could probably do. Because most jobs are not real. Between 1980 and 2012, jobs requiring a high level of social interaction grew by 12 percentage points. As a hiring proxy for this, company started to turn to 4-year college degrees. I love that the idea is that spending 4 years in college and potentially going into debt or spending hundreds of thousands of dollars are necessary to make you the sort of person who can just like talk to people. I would say if anything, and this risks like fetishizing, let's say like the working or lower middle classes. I don't know. I think often a lot of people I know haven't been to college or don't come from that background are great at talking and they're good hangs. And I know lots of people that went to college who are really awkward hangs. So there you go. These trends accelerated during the Great Recession when employers had a labor surplus. Of the 11.6 million jobs created between 2010 and 2016, 3 out of 4 required at least a bachelor's degree. Just 1 out of every 100 required a high school diploma or less. And you know, what's happened, of course, too, is so many jobs that just require a high school diploma are already going to be in the category of, you know, minimum wage, living wage jobs right off the rip. So, you know, you got that. These changes were documented in a 2017 study led by researchers at Harvard Business School. Ever heard of them? Their report, dismissed by degrees, found more than 60% of employers rejected otherwise qualified candidates in terms of skills or experience simply because they did not have a college diploma, and that the imperfect BA proxy had many negative consequences for workers and companies alike. One of the research's most revealing findings was that millions of job postings listed college degree requirements for positions that were currently held by workers without them. That's great. That's a great thing. Fox says, yeah, anyone who believes that college magically makes you a well-rounded social person has never been to a college. So there you go. Where were we? Yeah, many of these so-called, sorry, where are we at? I'm skipping ahead a little bit. Many of these so-called middle skill jobs like sales reps, inspectors, truckers, admin assistants, and plumbers were facing unprecedented degree inflation. So weird. Michael says, who else has a degree and is using that degree to not do their job and watch the stream? There you go. Okay. The report pointed to employer surveys that showed workers without college degrees were often considered just as productive on the job as their college-educated counterparts. No shit. They were also less likely to turn over and less expensive for companies to hire. Degree inflation was particularly harmful to Black and Hispanic job applicants, the researchers noted, since they're less likely than white applicants to have college diplomas. Classism and racism in America? No way. No way. What? That's crazy. Someone said, what is this Ben and Jerry's ad? Oh, is there a Ben and Jerry's ad like on the screen that people are seeing in the background? I don't know. You'll never see me. Yeah, you'll never see me doing a Ben and Jerry's ad because of that lactose intolerance, guys. Oh, nice. There you go. If you guys ever hear this video is brought to you by Ben and Jerry's, and me saying like, before I get into it, I wanted to shout out Ben and actually, you know what? I would shout out Ben and Jerry's. Those dudes are cool. they're like cool guys, and they have pretty solid politics, and they have a ice cream flavor named after Jerry Garcia. Actually, I take back everything I just said. If Ben and Jerry's would like to sponsor us, we would gladly do that. I will take all the lactate in the world to be able to do an ad for Ben and Jerry's. Tyler, we're sorry you got fired. Thanks for being here again. This is Wisecrack Live. Michael Burns and producer Henry, please like the stream. Is it pandering for me to say that? Is it annoying? Yes, it is. At the same time, are we basically completely dependent on the analytics produced by YouTube based on engagement and likes that will then feed the stream to more people, which will bring people here, which will keep us at a point where we can justify doing this stream? All of that is true. And as always, if you want to support us really directly, you can either get a membership to the channel. Some people have been doing that today. We got a bunch of Lords of the Chat. That's what the green usernames are for. Or you can sign up for our Patreon to not even be, silly about it, to be really straightforward. The reason I like to push people to Patreon is because it is the way where your money gets to us in the most direct fashion possible. So if you want to support the channel, that's the easiest way for you to do it really directly. So there you go. You also get some free shit. So people complain a lot about ads on the channel, and I get it. If you never want to see me read an ad again in your whole life, you can do that. Jean-Quill the vegan, who's a vegan, says vegan here. Ben and Jerry's has non-dairy. It's good. Okay, I'll try it. Yeah, if anyone knows, someone should call Ben and Jerry's corporate and see if there's anything there. Okay, so there we go. Ben and Jerry's. Back to the article. So that report was a wake-up call for companies, but it definitely took some time to get out there, said Elise Rosenbaum, the founder of Grads of Life, a nonprofit that backed the study and encourages businesses to adopt more diverse hiring practices. Oh, guys, also, too, we have an email address now. Do we have the email address where we can put it on the screen occasionally, Henry?
I can throw it on, yeah.
Let's just say every now and then do that, but we'll put it up now. I'll check our emails later during the stream, guys. Thank you for those of you that emailed this week. We got a lot of great emails, a couple I need to respond to, some good recommendations. Really appreciate it. So thank you for doing that. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to skip ahead to the tightened labor market. So the tightening labor market, George Floyd's murder, and the pandemic all sped up hiring reform. Years before governors and the president started talking about degree inflation, some companies, and for degree inflation, in case everyone doesn't know what that means, it just means that the value of the degree is inflated, so that basically a college degree used to mean something and now it means nothing because you have to have one as a baseline. Some companies were already ahead of the curve. Perhaps the most widely recognized leader is IBM, which back in the Great Recession realized it needed to loosen its hiring requirements to stay competitive. They say necessity is the mother of invention, and that's essentially where we found ourselves about 10 years ago, explained IBM's chief human resource officer, Nicole Lamoureux, that's a sick name, pointing to the shortage of skilled tech workers, the half-life of tech skills, and the fact that 2/3 of U.S. adults lacked bachelor degrees. I mean, I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, someone put email. Yeah, someone put in the chat. You don't have to email anything, guys. The email address is a way for you to like share thoughts if you have them about the stream, questions for Henry and I, recommendations for things we could cover, things like that. So I'll say this, my friend who makes the most money, whose name I won't say, does it in tech stuff, and he did not do college. He did not do college. Wow, I'm not doing English, but he did not study tech in college. He figured it out after the fact, and that's how he made a lot of money. So, just saying. So going on says, Ahmed said, in addition to a tightening labor market, George Floyd's murder and the attention that brought structural racism in America generated new focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion in business. Remember when oh, what's up, Haruna Matata? Remember when every company for 3 weeks was like, we stand with Black lives. And then they just did all the same stuff, but they posted about it. That was cool. That was a cool period. But I don't want to say anything else, because then someone in the comments will be like, get woke, go broke. Which makes sense, guys. Makes no sense when any of you say that. Honeyman says, Michael, I'm going to college because I want to learn. Doesn't that suck? No, that's the point. I mean, let's say that too. The point of college shouldn't be job training. This is the problem. The problem is that we've connected college education to producing enough money to live a good life. You should be able to do that regardless. The pursuit of a college education should be the pursuit of knowledge, learning, humanistic pursuits, all that sort of stuff. Like that's what we should be doing. And it's really a waste of time to spend that much time and money on what amounts to job training. You shouldn't do that. Honeyman says it reminds me of a Kendrick Lamar lyric. There you go. You mean back when everyone made their avatar a black square for a week and then racism went away? Yes. That was pretty cool. We had racism for all these years and everyone did the black squares. And it was like, do you smell that? It's the smell of equality around the world. That was ridiculous. There's so many people I knew too. This is going to be a tangent, guys. So get ready for Tangent Corner. If you want to tune out for about 90 seconds, the tangent will probably only last till then. But the amount of people, and I'll say especially in the sort of like live comedy and theater community in LA that pre, 2000 wouldn't acknowledge like racism or classism and were really weird. And even like, I remember doing like comedy shows where people would like talk about how like Bernie Sanders was like bad and stuff and all this sort of shit. All these fucking people then were just like, I'm Huey Newton now. And they weren't and they aren't, but the performativity of it was so annoying. I know I say this is like just some fucking white guy, but still, just no. Didn't like it. Okay, that's I'm going to stop there. But yeah, black squares for all. Non-essential degree requirements aren't race neutral, Ned and Blair wrote in the Wall Street Journal. They embed into the labor market the legacy of black exclusion from the U.S. education system, namely the anti-literacy laws that made it illegal for blacks to learn to read. Again, guys, this is a thing that happened in America. In America, it was illegal for black people to learn how to read. This makes me think back to the discussion we had a few streams ago about James Lindsay and pedagogy of the oppressed, and the way that someone like Paulo Freire points out the literal emancipatory potential of education and pedagogy of learning. And we see the flip side of that, which is like, of course, a government would keep a group there trying to keep oppressed from fucking reading. Just crazy sometimes, the history you learn. But I guess now they can't teach this in school anymore because we can't say anything about America like that. I don't know. Mellow Jello says more tangents. It's probably just you that wants that, but I appreciate Mellow Jello. Let's see, the separate and unequal schools that kept them from catching up and the limited progress since on policies designed to remedy racial discrimination. In December 2020, in response to Floyd's death, business leaders launched the 110 Coalition with the goal of placing 1 million Black Americans without college degrees in family-sustaining jobs over the next decade. The high-profile effort was led by IBM's executive chairman and Merck's chief executive and included leaders from companies like Cisco, Nike, Target, and American Express. 1 year later, the coalition announced that it expanded to include 16 member companies. Part of their work involves identifying alternative ways to discern whether workers possess the skills they need. Almost anyone could do any job. Just like give people jobs. Just give them jobs, guys. Just do it. This past September, a new chapter in this broader culture shifting work began, developed in partnership between Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council, a nonprofit that sponsors public service. Oh yeah, so tear the paper ceiling. So yeah, this is the reason I looked into this, guys, is because I walked or drove by a billboard yesterday that said tear the paper ceiling, and I had no idea what that meant. I do gotta pop off a little bit sometimes, Mellow Jello. It really is true. Thanks for being here, guys. Like the stream, please. The more you like it, the less I have to ask you to like it. Okay, let's see how much is left in this. Let's see how much okay, you know what? Let's just skim through the rest. We're almost there. So this section starts. Ooh, I skipped. There's evidence of an emerging degree reset. So here we go. The digressions. Thank you, Kurt. The hard work is starting to pay off. Earlier this year, the New York Times published a piece praising the work of these companies. Blah, 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 blah. Last year, researchers from Harvard Business School, ever heard of them? And the Burning Glass Institute found evidence of what they called an emerging degree reset by analyzing over 51 million job postings. They found that between 2017 and 2019, 46% of middle skill, and 37% of high skill occupations no longer ask for a bachelor's degree. That's great. Jobs do not require 4-year degrees. Employers do. That's well put. Getting more employers to rethink their degree requirements will take hard work. There you go. And it kind of just wraps up. So let's go back to new data. New data released this month suggests employers are hiring at a slower rate, and economists still warn of a possible recession. Yay! This year, as inflation persists. Advocates for hiring workers without college degrees say it's critical. Yeah, Okay, so there you go. And I think like one of the big risks here, right, is that college degrees are used as a way to separate like people from a pile. Someone's going through job applications and it's easy just to be like, oh, this one doesn't have a degree. Let's just throw them out or whatever. So I'm curious here. Does anyone have any experiences with, I don't know, getting jobs without a degree, struggling because of a degree, whatever? I don't know. But the experience thing is wild. Vox Podcast said as well, for anyone who's thinking about black squares ending racism, he said they had an episode called "Your Black Friend is Tired." So check that out if you are curious about that. Jay's 35, held 2 jobs in their industry, 3 different positions, which are in every company. When will my experience outweigh the degree requirement? Yeah. And here's the thing too, like a lot of it is when we think about the role of college, a lot of it is really just like the building of social connections that get people jobs. I think the worst thing about the labor market, not the worst thing, but a bad thing about it is, um, oh, thank you. So thanks for ringing out 1709. Hopefully see you back soon. Really appreciate it. Um, you know, a real factor about jobs is so many jobs do not go to someone who just sends in an application, right? People get jobs on the basis of their social connections, and often colleges are places where people make those social connections. I mean, I think back to when I was in academia, I applied, I swear to God, guys, I'm not exaggerating, for probably at least like 100 total academic teaching jobs, including visiting positions, including postdocs, over a 3-year period. I only ever had one full-time academic job or one permanent job, like tenure track. I got that job at a university, and it was a university where I happened to have worked with 2 people in that department before. One of them is someone who's kind of a mentor and helped me get my book published. Her name's Allison Assiter. She's an amazing philosopher in person. If you want to read some dope shit, read Allison Assiter's work. I was also a department where a guy named Ian Hamilton Grant, if you want some weird nature philosophy, he's your guy. But I only like got an interview because those people knew me and they probably saw my name on an application and were like, "Oh, Burns is a solid hang." Um, but it was like one interview, one job. The job I had before that when I was in Baltimore, I was at Loyola University, Maryland, as a visiting assistant person. The reason I got a job there is because I just randomly emailed the chair of the department, who it turned out, his name is Richard Boothby, awesome philosopher. If you're interested in like Freud, Lacan, psychoanalysis, sexuality, he works on really cool shit. But he like hit me up and we just like hung out and chatted. He liked my work. 6 months later, like they needed a course taught. So I think he was like, screw it. This guy seems nice. We'll let him teach a course. And like 6 months after that, I got a call that someone who was teaching some classes for them bailed last minute so I could get like a temporary full-time thing. So I was like, okay. And then the year after that, they were hiring another full-time visiting person and I got to apply, and they actually didn't even interview me because I'd been teaching there and I got that job. But again, at no point was I just like applying for a thing and getting the job because of that. It was all through just like random emails and knowing people. Royale said, "Why did you leave academia to do YouTube?" I didn't leave academia to do YouTube. I kind of left academia to move to Los Angeles to be with my partner, now wife, and to also pursue a career in writing and performing. And it worked out that this is what I do now. But yeah, I don't know. Throw some thoughts on the college thing. Do you have any thoughts on this, Henry? Before we move on, and maybe if you have a thought, I can take a bite of my peanut butter toast.
The best and most consistent work I've had has often had like the least formal means of acquisition. The only time like submit your resume, like the only time like a formal typical structural like application process has worked has been in like a customer service or fast food situation where it was clear they needed labor and were desperate for anybody. But aside from that, yeah, it has been a lot of just like relationships and social stuff, especially like working as an editor. It's like somebody sees you worked on something and they kind of want you to work on their thing. Or like if you're working live events or doing film sets and shoots, it's more about just like, hey, I saw you there. Can you be here now? There's, not really a formal structural like entry point that you can really describe, or like, it goes hand in hand with turning college into a job factory where what you're conditioning people to do is to look at it in very like game-like terms, where they see the overall structure and they're all like, okay, where do I insert my X amount of effort to get like the profit out of this equation? So they don't see it as like a social or a community interaction, or as like, it just warps your sense of like what a job is, and it's also kind of based on what pre-existing notions of work-life balance and work life looks like in America.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like college was very much preparing me with a set of manners that were kind of on their way out, even by the time I graduated, more so than anything else. There were some cool professors and some cool friends and connections I made in that sense, but the career value, employment opportunity stuff, that I just kind of came to Austin and started doing a thing with skills I had been kind of practicing before I even got into college with editing. Like media was something I was doing in high school already.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I have a new favorite person in the chat, guys. It's Annalisa Araya, who has a BA in philosophy and works at a winery. Because I like philosophy and I like wine, it's part of the local economy. That makes me think Annalisa lives, let's see, local economy, winery, Northern California, Oregon, maybe. Again, I'm not trying to like be a creep, but I'm just curious. But that's cool. Callie Zabarenko says, academic market is awful. Finishing my PhD. Husband is established and doesn't want to move. Yeah, I mean, we experienced this in my household. Is, I have a PhD, but left academia. My wife's just finishing her PhD pretty soon. It's a weird thing because like to apply for academic jobs means you have to be willing to move anywhere. I had to move to England to get a job, which was wild now that I think about it, but it was fun. Let's see, Outright Tiny says, I've definitely had trouble. My parents were pushing me to go into STEM, but I'm naturally inclined towards the humanities. Got burned out and haven't finished my degree. Totally reasonable. Yeah, Napa Valley would make sense for that. Eastern Washington. See, there you go. Annalisa, awesome. Thank you so much. Gatsby's thesis has French in the title. I went to Italy. So my school has Italian. I found out my resume was getting rejected for misspellings. Amazing. That's crazy. Ryan W. got a job at a radio station because the manager liked the t-shirt I was wearing. But like, that's totally real. That's totally real. I think that happens. Tyler Schmidt says, we got wine here in Michigan. Yeah, Tyler, I've seen some wineries in like the like outside like Michiana area on Lake Michigan when you drive by, and there's signs for stuff like that. So there you go. Okay, thanks for being here. Thanks for liking the stream. I'm gonna press play and just see what's going on in these hearings.
With younger Americans, 60% of each.
Do you want to watch a little bit of the TikTok hearings?
Yeah.
Let's tune in these TikTok hearings for a sec, guys. Let's go. Mellow Jello comes in, 5 memberships. Oh my God.
Protection for U.S. user data.
Yeah, I think the problem is when there is a lack of transparency, then that leads people to believe.
Let's watch
that
this
there's
government
something
hearing
more
for a second.
nefarious, and that there is in fact data that is
Hell yeah, Mellow
captured,
Jello.
is stored, and poses a risk not only to children in the United States, but also poses a risk to national security. With that, I yield the rest of my time to my colleague, Jay Obernolte.
Thank the gentlelady from Iowa for yielding. Mr. Chu, I'd like to continue our discussion about Project Texas and the technical details about what you're proposing to do. So you are migrating all storage of U.S.
thick head.
user data to the Oracle Cloud infrastructure, and you think that that'll be done by the end of the year. Was that right?
Again, I can get back to you on the technical parts of it. The migration today by default, all new U.S. data is stored by default already.
Sir, I'm just using what you said in your testimony in your opening here.
It is stored there by default. What I said in my testimony is I'm deleting legacy data that sits in Virginia and Singapore. That's the difference.
When this migration is complete, who will have access to that data?
Right now, a team called TikTok U.S. Data Security, led by American personnel, they have access to that. We have begun this operations already.
Okay, but the app itself has access to the data.
So are we
correct?
acting like TikTok has a
Only through
uniquely
any employees that have the data.
dangerous
Well, no,
relationship
what I
to
mean is,
data?
like if I use
Yeah.
lose
I
my
don't know
as much
iPhone and I
about this.
reinstall the app and I put in my username and password, my app will reconnect to the mothership and download some of that data, my setting.
That's not the way it works. No.
This man's
That's
talking
not
about
way
the
it works. It
mothership.
will go through the Oracle Cloud infrastructure and that team that looks after this.
Yes, I realize that. So let me ask you this. What would prevent then someone with detailed technical knowledge of the way the app is constructed from creating an almost identical version of the app that could also access that data?
makes no sense.
We are giving you third-party monitors and transparency.
Yeah, but they're monitoring the source code for your app. I mean, the ByteDance, these engineers have been working on this app
Does
for
anyone in
years.
our government
What would prevent
understand how
them from making
computers
an
work?
app that could also access that data?
Congressman, I think we're going into the area where, what if there's a hacker? What if there is this?
Okay.
This
If
is a
you
common
could-
industry problem, as you know.
Well, I mean,
I'm on the
just-
side of the TikTok guy
I
thus
see
far.
my time's
I'm
expired.
anti-US
It
government
illustrates
here.
the point.
Okay.
I'm just skeptical that you're technically
Gentleman's
able
time
to
has
do
expired.
what you
Gentlelady's time
promised.
has expired. Mr. Chu, I recognize that we have run over. I appreciate your time. We have just a few members left and would appreciate the chance for them to get to answer. or
Let's watch a
ask
couple
their
questions, just
5
see if anything
minutes worth of
interesting happens.
questions. Gentleman from
Yeah,
Virginia, Mr.
CCJ2 is
Griffith
an
is
engineer, and he
recognized
gets
for
this,
5
is
minutes.
silly.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Mr. Chu, you share legal counsel lawyers with ByteDance, yes or no?
Yes, we do.
And you testified that you prepared extensively with your legal team for this hearing, yes or no?
With my team in DC, including the
Including some of your legal counsel.
Yes.
Right. And did they tell you about the report to the Australian Senate of March 14th that I referenced earlier? Did they tell you that that report was out there,
Do
yes
you
or
think
no?
Mr. Griffith uses
I
TikTok?
cannot recall how I found out about the report.
But you know about the report?
I can check.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
did they tell you to favorably cite the Citizens Lab in your written testimony today, yes or no?
Congressman, I need to get back to you on specifics.
They helped you with the preparation of your written statement, though, didn't they?
A team prepares, yes.
Yes. And did they tell you that the director of Citizen Lab says he has called out your
This
company
guy's being aggressive.
for misrepresenting their report repeatedly and did so as late as yesterday?
Well, RBNXT has
Did
a
they
PhD
tell you about
in
that,
AI.
yes or no?
Congressman, the Citizen Lab is saying they cannot prove a negative, which is what I've been trying to do for the last 4 hours.
All right. But you cited it favorably as saying that it did positive things for you. That being said,
Mr. Chu rips.
let me ask you
Is
this.
he bad? Am I
Keep
not
talking
supposed to
about
like him?
transparency,
I'm on his side for most of what I've seen of this.
but you
Yeah.
haven't been transparent with us
This
here
is
today.
all I know.
You were asked earlier by Mr. Hudson if you owned stock in ByteDance. You said you didn't want to reveal that. Well, we're trying to figure out what the ties are between ByteDance and TikTok. I'm not going to ask you how many shares you own, but do you own shares in ByteDance, sir?
Does this guy own a cowboy
I do.
hat?
All right, there you go. How about in TikTok?
Right now, all employees own shares in
Yeah,
one
sure.
entity.
I expected that. I just don't understand why you didn't tell Mr. Hudson that and were transparent earlier. Instead, you made us drag it out of you. All right.
I can drag it
Now,
out of you.
Let's talk about the kids.
Now, if I got 3
You
horses,
told,
one of those horses on
several of our
TikTok, one's not on
folks
TikTok.
That there was a 60-minute deadline. You also told us that if you were under the age of 18, you couldn't access the live section, the live option. So I texted my 17-year-old and my 15-year-old, and I basically got scoffs
This guy has a
back.
15-year-old?
Scoffs when I said, "Are you all limited to 60 minutes?"
Is this
My
guy's complaint
older
like,
son
my kid made fun of
said,
me?
"Well, there is a notice I get from time to time that says I shouldn't be on more than 60 minutes, but it never has kicked me off." And my younger son said, "Oh, I'm
Someone
on
in
as
the
long as
chat
I
said,
wanna
don't
be."
cheer for TikTok.
So I'm just
but it's hard not
informing
to
you, whoever
cheer
told you, particularly
against
if it
this
was your
guy.
legal team, that that's not accurate. That they're on for more than
Keith.
60 minutes and they can access
Keith,
the live section.
that's the
I believe it
comment
was
of the
Mr.
day thus
Carter
far.
That you said they couldn't under 18 access the live, being on live section. He's done it. So whatever it is you think you're doing,
What's up, Nate Lynch?
it ain't getting done. Now, let's talk about the law for a minute.
It's a congressional hearing, and his evidence was texting
You
his teen
Shared
children.
legal team. But you keep talking about how you got a firewall between you
Again,
and ByteDance.
that doesn't make TikTok good,
You
but it makes
can't
this guy
have
ridiculous.
an effective firewall under the United States interpretation of such.
Nate Lynch, you've missed everything.
If you're sharing legal counsel, because anything that you say to your legal counsel, they can share internally.
Theo
You've got the
Von's
same
dad.
lawyers. Now, maybe you have 2 different teams of lawyers in the law firm, but that's not what you said to us today. You said you share lawyers. There is no firewall legally. I'm just telling you. So if you want to clean it up and be transparent, you need to do something about that. Wouldn't you agree? Yes or no? That you need to do
Really
something
good comments,
about that.
guys.
Congressman,
I'm not going to read them all.
look
Good
into
stuff.
I know. You'll look into it. You've been looking into it all the time. All right. You told Dr. Burgess when asked if your employees, if your employees who were members of the Chinese Communist Party had access to TikTok data from the U.S., you said you didn't know who was a member of the Communist Party. But then, Congressman Wahlberg, you said that the CEO of TikTok was not a member of the Chinese
Yeah.
Communist Party.
CCJ2
And to
doesn't share for
Congressman
TikTok,
Kelly,
but he
you
says these
said
questions aren't even
the
getting to the
founder of
point of
TikTok
why
was
it's
not a
dangerous.
member of the Communist Chinese Party.
Is this like the
Sir, Either you know
50s?
who is and
Are
isn't
they
a member
communists?
of the Chinese Communist
Gotta
Party,
get
or
the
you
commies
don't.
out of here.
Which one is it? I submit that you know, and you just aren't giving us the straight story.
American
Clearly,
politics is rad
you know,
because
but you denied that.
communism just
to
means
Dr.
bad.
Burgess.
I can
and you
ask
don't
one
have to
or two
explain
people,
why.
but we have no policy to ask all the employees. I can ask one or two people, but
Is he really
why-
asking what political party
But it's
TikTok's
reasonable
employees
to
are in?
assume that with a
That's
significant
crazy.
number of members of the country of China being
Yeah,
members of the
Caspi
Chinese Communist
fear-mongering, right?
Party, logic
Yeah,
would tell
this-
us you're
he
logical
might
man,
as
I
well
assume.
just be going, "You
Logic
guys
would
are
tell us that
Chinese,
there are a fair
right?"
number
With,
of your
like,
employees who are
racist
members of the
intent.
Chinese Communist Party. At least a dozen or so.
Yeah,
who have
Red Scare
access to
people in the
this
chat are
data.
pointing this out. This is
Isn't that
ridiculous.
so?
Again, like I said, I can ask one or two people.
Right.
We don't have
So,
a policy to ask
I
everybody.
said earlier, you're living in some kind of a cloud world. Because either you know or you don't
Like
know.
Lando
I yield back. Thank you,
Calrissian.
ma'am.
He lives in a cloud world.
Gentleman from South Carolina, Chair
That was
recognizes
wild.
for 5 minutes, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think what's
I'm
been
more of a
revealed
Rocky
today, there's
guy.
not a
I don't
degree of
know these
separation
Star Wars
between
metaphors.
ByteDance
Things
and
weird
TikTok.
to
I'd like
me.
to enter in the record Heritage Foundation document, TikTok generation, a CCP official.
Put
in
your
every
jacket
document.
on, Duncan.
Without objection, so ordered.
And I'd like to yield the balance of my time to Kelly Armstrong from North Dakota.
Oh, North Dakota. This
Thank
guy's
you,
going to
Madam
be
Chair.
a real
Mr.
tech
Chu, the
expert.
TikTok privacy policy details extensive data collection on users. One line states that we may collect information about you from other publicly available sources. What publicly available data is TikTok collecting and adding
Okay,
to
I mean, that's-
profiles of users?
That's not unfair.
It will be
Yes,
publicly
we're doing a
available,
Stephen
but
West
I
collab
can get back to
for
your
your patio.
specifics.
Okay, what is the purpose of obtaining even more data on your users beyond the data collected from the platform?
We collect
Every company
data.
collects
We
data.
want to give our users, by the way, a lot of transparency on what data we collect. We give them choices on the controls of their own privacy settings. And it really is to serve them a better experience. This is the reason why so many people love the
Ooh,
app. It's a
comrade emote.
great
That sounds
experience.
cool.
So how does the
How
non-TikTok
many
related
communists
data
work at
service
Wisecrack? Give us an
relate
answer.
to the service provided?
I need to check the specifics and understand the question and get back to you.
Okay. Do you think the average TikTok user knows that you are and understands that TikTok's data collection extends to information outside the use of the app?
Not
We
every.
do give transparent information on this, and like I said, I don't believe we collect more information than most of the social media platforms out there.
Well, and the reason I ask this is because I'm going to go back into the corporate structure. You described that TikTok is a subsidiary of ByteDance. Mr. Griffith just said that you guys share the same lawyers. You have stated that your direct report is the CEO of ByteDance, but you've also stated that at certain levels, TikTok operates without direct daily control from ByteDance. You have used content moderation as an example for that. TikTok's
We'll watch a
privacy
few more minutes.
policy
Yeah, these
states
questions
that
seem a little better.
states that you may share user data within your corporate group. Does that corporate group include ByteDance?
If you are talking about that one entity that has the share for Chinese media licensing purposes, I think it's called Beijing Douyin Services. If you're talking about that entity of the government share, the answer is, we have cut off, all access of U.S. data sets to that.
So,
employees of the entity.
but your user privacy, so your corporate group, ByteDance
Got a
is part
funny
of your
email
corporate
a second ago.
ByteDance is the top company.
So
ByteDance is like
you're
my
talking about
enthusiast
the
gaming.
other entities within the group.
So you just testified that you firewalled this. Does that statement, so you're saying the TikTok's executives that operate independently of ByteDance, but does that statement not hold for sharing of access to data?
Well, I was talking about that one entity.
This seems
that
very
has,
basic. What's up,
that's-
Dennis?
Many of you have raised some concerns. That's the entity that I'm talking about. The entity with the
Yeah, Tyler Schmidt makes a solid
Chinese
point there.
government's investment that is for the purpose of Chinese internet licensing.
There is a
for the
freedom in
Chinese business.
realizing that
Not
Let me
everyone's
ask
just
it a
going to have
different
access to our data.
What other entities have access to TikTok user data?
Well, after Project Texas, we're going to move it so that only
Granola Brick says, if you use Venmo, you
TikTok
can send
user
to
data
Plaid, an
security
intermediary company
has
used to link your
has
bank to
control
Venmo to
to
have
access
access
to
to
that
all
data.
transactional
So,
data,
and we
debt,
could
equity
bring you
holdings.
back
Wow.
either after Project Texas is done, but right now, what other entities have access to TikTok's user data today?
Only by requirement.
I call it
It's really
Project
only by
Texas
requirement.
when I eat barbecue
Certain
twice in a
employees
weekend.
require some access of data to help build the product. But for US, we have moved it for Project Texas, and by the end of this year, it will be firewalled away.
But this is your privacy policy today. Like, I understand what you're telling us, what's potentially going to happen in the future.
Armstrong's the
I
least
have
terrible thus
concerns
far,
again
though.
about CFIUS
Look at the
and
tiny
government
water. Give them
involvement,
bigger
private
bottles of
organization, all
water.
of that. I'm just
He
saying,
is
this
more
is your
focused on
user
the data
agreement
sharing than
today.
like earlier
Yeah.
there was
So
a
your user
congressman from
agreement says
Georgia
that you
who was
share
like, why are
access
these
with your
American
corporate group.
cultural trends
You know,
happening
You're
only in
telling me what's going to
America?
happen whenever Project Texas
Why
gets
isn't on
done.
this
I'm
app?
asking you
I hear a
today,
song
who
and
has
a young girl
access
moves her
to
mouth, but she is
TikTok's
not singing the
user
song.
data?
In our user agreement, Congressman, in our privacy policy, we also added a link so that our users in the U.S. can be informed about Project Texas. The link is there.
Bobby
So the
Pines
link
does
is there to
not
private,
like
but
Project Texas as a phrase.
I understand what you're trying to do moving forward.
Yeah,
I have
it
my own
sounds a
concerns
little
about
too
that, but
final
we're sitting here
solution-y to
today
me.
in a hearing, and your privacy policy is different than your testimony. Your privacy policy specifically says that you can share user data within your corporate group. So you're saying
Whoa,
even though
Armstrong does look
your
like Jordan
privacy
Peterson.
policy
Oh,
says that you're
shit.
not doing
Good
it,
call, Warren.
Like I said, I don't think there's any contradiction here. Like I said, Project Texas, when it's done, we firewall off that data. We still have some legacy data. in
Caspi,
Virginia
I
and
think
Singapore
North
that we
Carolina
started
is my favorite
removing.
barbecue I've ever
It will
had.
be
I
done by the
haven't
end of
had
this
much
year.
South Carolina
so
barbecue.
at the end of this
Sorry.
year, then you won't share it. Does that mean you're sharing it today?
I don't believe so, but there is some data.
Then why
there.
haven't you changed your privacy policy? Why haven't you updated it?
We did update it, and we gave our users more
Like the
information on Project
stream,
Texas. We did
if you
update it.
hate communism, lock the strum if you're a comrade. So CCJ2 says, everyone has access to our data. The real question and transparency should come in the questions. What are they doing with it? And if they sell it, to
Gentleman
whom?
yields back. Gentleman from Texas. Chair recognizes for 5 minutes Mr. Crenshaw.
Sloppy steaks. I love a sloppy
Thank you, Mr. Chu,
steak.
for bringing Republicans and Democrats together. Appreciate that. I wanna
Honey
get
Man used to be
right
my
the
dangerous
critical
night.
point of
Crenshaw!
concern. So
Oh,
TikTok
no.
is able to collect massive amounts of personal data. We all know that. That means it could, if it desired, to use this data to influence narratives
Okay, we
and
gotta watch
trends, create
Crenshaw.
misinformation campaigns, encourage self-destructive behavior.
Korean barbecue is better than all
purposely
American
allow
barbecue.
drug cartels to communicate freely and organize human and drug trafficking. Now, to be fair, all social media companies could do that. But here's the difference. It is only TikTok that is controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. All these other social media companies
saying Communist
are
Party.
not. Mr. Chu, do you agree that TikTok is controlled by the CCP?
Jesus Christ.
No.
Okay, I thought you'd say that. I disagree, as
I
you
thought
I
you'd
might
say that.
Here's why I disagree. Your parent company is ByteDance, right?
Well, I'm going to treat it as
That's correct.
truth anyways.
It is correct.
They're
So,
talking.
many of the workers
China's- it's a
who work at
capitalist
ByteDance
system,
are Communist
guys.
Party members, right?
I wouldn't know.
Well, I think, for example, the chief editor at ByteDance, Zhang Vuping, is the Communist Party secretary, correct?
He works on the Chinese business, not on TikTok.
Right. He works for ByteDance, the parent
He works on
company.
the Chinese business.
Right. The parent company of TikTok.
The Chinese business is called
Guys.
Douyin.
Yeah, but it's all associated with ByteDance, right?
So ByteDance owns a number of businesses.
Right.
They are
You all report to ByteDance. Everybody's part of ByteDance.
Oh, Julia, he has an eye patch
Okay?
because I think
And
he did a war.
do you know of any
and
other
someone shot his
employees that
eye
work
in the
for
war.
ByteDance that are part of the Chinese Communist Party?
Like I said, they are. ByteDance owns Chinese businesses and they operate in China.
You don't know how many, but you acknowledge many must be card-carrying members of the CCP, right?
In
This
the
is
Chinese
so
business, yes.
dumb.
Yeah, I mean, the CCP holds what's called a golden share
Our
in
government is
ByteDance
so
that
dumb.
allows the CCP
That doesn't
to
mean
control
TikTok's
one
good. It
board
doesn't
seat
mean
in ByteDance.
China's
That's
government is
publicly
good.
reported.
Correct.
It's
We're
Not
just
correct.
dumb.
It's been publicly
It's
reported.
sad
Admitted to
because
it.
you see
It's-
the
it's-
congressional
you can, on our
bodies like
website, we've
trying to
updated it,
levy
so we
like a
can give people
cultural
more transparent
shame that
information on
doesn't
this.
like it
You
doesn't
have a
do anything.
share in a subsidiary that is only for the Chinese business. It has nothing to do with TikTok. And it's for the purposes of content licensing in China.
So there's not an internal CCP committee, which is a
Especially with how
regular
much
thing that happens in China.
Republicans
They have a
these days want
CCP
to
committee
control
internally
aspects
inside
of
the company.
American life, like
I
education
run
and
TikTok.
ideology, which
I
is
cannot represent the
ByteDance.
Chinese
We're talking
business.
about
kind of
ByteDance.
what they're afraid of, right?
No arrangement in
What's up, Mohammed?
So
Again,
here's the
Graham
main point of
Fraser,
concern.
this is
China's
real.
2017 national intelligence law states very clearly that, quote, any organization or citizen shall support, assist, and cooperate with state intelligence work in accordance
Like
with
the
law
stream if you
and
think you're
maintain
smarter
the
than Dan
secrecy of
Crenshaw.
all knowledge of state intelligence work. In other words,
Lark the strip if you're a
ByteDance
member
and
of
also
the
your TikTok
CCP.
employees that live in China, they must cooperate with Chinese intelligence whenever they are called upon. And if they are called upon, they're bound to secrecy. That would include you. So, Mr. Chu, if the CCP tells ByteDance to turn over all data that TikTok has collected inside the U.S., even within Project Texas, do they have to do so, according to the Chinese law?
Congressman, first, I'm Singaporean.
That's fine, but there are employees of yours and ByteDance is in China.
We understand this concern. In my opening statement, we said, we hear these concerns, we didn't try to avoid them or trivialize them. We built something where we take that data.
You
and
got
put it out of
membership, Super
reach.
Sleepy Boys.
This is what we did. We put it out of reach.
Out of reach, but they own you.
No, we put it out of reach.
This
by
dude has
lowering
JROTC
them.
energy.
ByteDance owns TikTok. If ByteDance is and the CCP owns
Guys,
ByteDance,
I
because
think
the
ByteDance
CCP owns everybody
might
in
own
China.
TikTok.
So
The
by
CCP
law, they
owns
can make
everyone.
them do whatever they want, and they say that by law you can't tell anyone.
This is
about
not
it. So
cash
they can
money at
make
all.
You hand over that data. Is that correct?
Data is stored here in American soil by an American
Well, you say
company
that.
overseen
We-
by American.
He's
thought
making
that, but leaked
TikTok so
audio from
likable,
80
or at
internal
least
TikTok
it's
meetings
true.
shows that U.S. user data has been repeatedly accessed from China when you said it hasn't been. And here's the other thing, following back on my colleague's line of questioning, in your own privacy policy, it says that you may share information within your so-called corporate group. Is ByteDance part of that corporate group?
If you're talking about this, the share of the entity with
Seriously.
the,
I'm
with the
Singaporean.
share, I
Yeah,
shared
same
with,
difference.
the previous
Is ByteDance part of the corporate group?
ByteDance as a holding company.
The Escape from LA guy. Yes,
It's part of the
Congressman
corporate
Kurt
group.
Russell.
Okay, so your own privacy policy says you have to share data with ByteDance. And if the CCP says, hey, ByteDance, you're going to do what we say,
hate
and you
the
can't
little
tell anyone about it
grin
because by
that
law,
Crenshaw has.
according to that 2017 national intelligence
Like, he
law,
thinks he's being so
they have
cheeky.
to do it. That's our concern. Maybe you
that's-
haven't done it yet, but my point is that you might have to. And that's where our concerns come from. I mean, over 300 TikTok employees have worked for China's state-run propaganda media. That's just from looking at their LinkedIn profiles. Okay, so and my last point is
Your
this. I wanna
evidence
say this
is
to
you
all the
looked at
teenagers out there and
LinkedIn.
TikTok influencers who think we're just old and out of touch and don't know what we're talking
That's
about.
what we
trying
do
to take
think.
away your favorite app.
Yes.
You may not care that your data is being accessed
That's
now,
exactly
but it
what's
will be
happening.
one day when you do care about it. And here's the real problem. With data comes power. They can choose what you see and how you see it. They can make you believe things that are not true. They can encourage you to engage in behavior that will destroy your life. Even if it is not happening yet, it could in the future. The long-term goal of the Chinese Communist Party is the demise of the American power, and that starts with our youth. At any moment, they could demand that all of TikTok's
We're
data
in a country
be
where
used
this
to
guy's
design
party wants
an
schools
AI
to teach
algorithm with the sole
that
purpose
slavery is
of
not
promoting
necessarily
Chinese
good or
interests
bad.
and
Yeah, he
destroying
doesn't
This is
want
great.
any of us
from
having
within.
health
You wanna know
care.
why that's Democrat? Why
This
that's,
is great.
why Democrats
Mellow
and
Jello
Republicans have
Crenshaw
come
has
together
no
on
idea
this.
where Singapore
That's
is.
why we are so concerned. Thank you. and I yield back.
Singapore, singer rich. I just like singing. Oh my God.
Gentleman yields back.
I think it's
I remind
almost
the members
done.
they have 10 business days to submit questions for the record. And I ask our witness to respond to the questions promptly. Pursuant to committee rules, I ask
The moving
unanimous
of the
consent to
goalpost
enter
here
the
is
documents
amazing.
from the staff list into the record.
Is it all Republicans
Without
on this committee, or
objection,
do the Democrats
so
already
ordered.
go?
Members should submit their questions by the close of business on April 6th. Without objection, the committee is adjourned.
Wow. Committee adjourned, guys. I mean, listen, I know nothing, guys. I did not know who Shu Chu was until 15 minutes ago. But if you just watch this, he comes off as so much more likable than anyone they've shown in Congress. Thanks for letting us watch that, guys. It was fun. I mean, to me, the funniest thing there is this idea that these politicians are so stressed about the idea, the notion that like TikTok could control the information shared to people in a way that's ideologically motivated. This is being discussed at the same time where governors, senators, and congresspeople in America are changing their education system such that they can't have degrees in critical theory, or that the Iowa school board told that history teacher that they couldn't say for certain whether slavery was good or bad. These are the things that are being taught in schools, public education in America, and yet we're so worried about this. I just think it's incredible. It's just incredible stuff.
Yeah, we just have elected representatives doing contemptible things and then blaming TikTok when the public has contempt for them.
Yes, J. Colbino says it's giving Red Scare. It totally is. Here's how old I am, guys. Last week, I learned the phrase "it's giving blank" because Wisecrack's head of editorial, Amanda Shurker, who's a genius, wrote a script that had the line "it's giving blank" in it, and we were doing like a copy edit, and I said it out loud and had to be like, Amanda, I don't know what I just said. I don't know what I said. So we changed it because I'll tell you this. I'll use slang in videos. I'll use colloquial terms, but only if it's a thing I would use in life. So even if you hear me say something ridiculous in a video, I promise you that's also how I talk if we just hung out. From Michael Dodge, CRT is always a cathode ray tube. Royale needs John Brown back from the dead. John Brown rips. I really want to get a John Brown tattoo. I've wanted to for years. The issue with the John Brown tattoo is you either got to go like a quote, and I already have text on a tattoo, or a portrait. And most portrait tattoos are bad. But I've thought about getting a John Brown a tattoo on me. But again, I'm not a political guy at all. I don't have ideology. I would get a John Brown tattoo, but I don't, gun to my head, I don't know what politics is. I don't even know how to vote, let alone microwave some food. But yeah, but again, like, and Chris or CC, whatever your username is in here, was bringing it up earlier that there are really good issues to bring up around TikTok, but with the data stuff, it's just, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I know some of you in the chat know a lot more about this than I do. But my sense this day, and this might be a little bit defeatist, is if you really, really care about data, just like don't do things. Like, go to the bank and take cash out and use that for your purchases. Don't use social media platforms. Don't use like gig economy apps. I don't know, like get a non-smartphone. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic or silly. And I have some friends who've done some of these things. I just kind of feel like that's kind of the only option, because we're really past the point at which there's going to be the level of reform that would be necessary to stop that. And then I think if you are someone who's going to continue to engage in the digital world, which, as we said in our Matrix video from 2 weeks ago that nobody watched, that we already are kind of living, in a half digital world, then you just have to make the best decisions possible, like opt out of data collection whenever you can, figure out safe ways to browse, be wary of who and what you give your data to, all that sort of stuff. But I mean, what are we going to do? Devil's Advocate says, don't forget quantum computing will be able to decrypt our information. I thought quantum computing is what took you to the quantum realm after your daughter made a thing that snuck you down there. Did anyone see Shazam! Fury of the Gods? I know I didn't. Let's see. Natasha says, I don't think it's fair to tell people not to make their lives easier with tech. If the company tells you the privacy policy is one thing, a reasonable person would expect it to be that thing. Oh, for sure. But Natasha, I think in a lot of cases, certain companies do technically tell us what they're doing, but it's in like a 9-page thing we clicked and accept that no one really reads. Adam Nader, thanks for watching that video. Nate Lynch, thank you as well. Ryan Klein says you can limit the data being taken from you without abandoning technology. Tyler, that's a good comment. I'm not going to say it out loud, Tyler, but I like that comment. Granola Brick says don't use Chrome. Fuck, is Chrome the bad one? What should we do, guys? What should we do? And if you want to sell your data to Google, make sure you can email wisecracklive666@gmail.com. Thank you so much. I won't say names, but someone sent a very funny picture for a Haikubaru, which is a car with 5 seats in the back, 7 in the middle, 5 in the back. Poetry in motion. I really appreciate that. I just found that very funny. Brock just sent a really cool email. So thank you so much. I still got to email Austin back. Went to the same middle school. Appreciate Austin for emailing. Penny emailed a video that they recommended that we might watch a little bit of in a second. But yeah, thanks for the emails again. And again, some people emailed about this. We've been talking about. Let's see. Adam just came back into the conversation. What's the 2-cent recap? I think the 2-cent recap is basically that our government was using the TikTok hearings to largely red bait and make criticisms of TikTok that could be made of their own policies towards ideology and education, while at the same time not really getting into the nitty gritty about genuine issues around data. So there you go. Red Kaczynski, who's that? I have seen the Trump caught and been the AI pictures. That's very fun. Yeah, and so we got some emails about this. Brought up maybe streaming on the occasional Friday. One thing I'm wondering, guys, I'm going to throw this out there too. What would we prefer? Would we prefer one stream a week, maybe on Thursday today, that's like 3 hours? Would we prefer 3-hour streams in a week? I'm just curious, because I was hanging out with an ex-Wisecrack comrade who, I guess I won't say what well, no, I do. It's our buddy Evan. He works at New Rockstars now, and he helps produce a stream they do there. I knew theirs every day, but they do it for an hour. And part of me was like, man, should we do that? Something more like that? I don't know. Can someone tell me why Chrome is the worst? Does everyone else know this? Someone said Mozilla. What browser do you use, Henry?
I do use Chrome, and I am wondering what people are bringing up. Is it because of the Google ad integration and just the amount of data you're getting harvested?
Yeah. You know what I've always thought about Google? It's more like the devil you know, if that makes sense. I feel like I've just like been so much of my life has been intertwined with Google for so long. Cascado says 6 24-hour streams. I like that. Oh, Vox, not 9 hours of streaming a week. I meant if we did 3 streams a week, an hour each. Apparition says 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. Oh yeah, 3 3-hour. I don't think I can do that. I think to do 3 3-hour streams, a lot more people would have to go and have to make money off them, and then we'd have to hire some more people to work at Wisecrack, and also my wife would have to get a second husband. So there you go. Because of Google AdSense integration. I used to use a VPN. I'm learning so much. Let's watch a little bit of the Stoicism video, I think maybe. Okay, let's do this, guys. I know I keep putting things on the thumbnail that we don't get to because we always want to do so much, but then we just have fun and do other stuff. Someone that said they would take an hour thrice a week. Natasha said that. Big Natasha fan over here, so I gotta take that seriously. So Then and Now, a really cool channel that does kind of philosophy theory videos, made a video on Stoicism that gets into some of the stuff we talked about a few weeks ago. Or we could watch the Harris video about the bank crash. Royale, I promise it was a joke. No, I mean, some people's wives do have boyfriends, and if that's a choice they make, I think that's fine. We have not made that choice. But yeah, if anyone has a preference between Harris Hole and Stoicism, I'll give you a second to express opinion. Again, this is not a democracy. This is the Wisecrack Live Communist Party. And we are the bite dance of streaming.
Yeah, y'all are the TikTok, and you're just guessing what we're going to make you do anyways. So
Yeah, Casey said 2 2-hour streams. Ooh, Shake and Bacon said, I'm a doctor, and since it's competitive to get into medicine, people get good at gaming the grades. Yeah, that's so rough. That's so rough to think about. Of course, I knew I would ask this, and it's like Stoicism. Okay, you know what? I saw more Stoicism than Harris.
Okay, I was about to say, I'm leaning towards Stoicism just because Harris is a couple days old, and we might get something fresh.
Stoicism is...
We only like that fresh hole. Okay, guys? We only want the freshest holes. And my next tattoo is going to say fresh hole gang. Okay, guys, I'm going to tell you something right now, and not a lot of people are going to be ready for this. We have a video coming out on Easter eggs. I hid an Easter egg in the video that is for Wisecrack Live regulars. I'm being dead serious. I'm not going to tell you what it is besides to say there is an Easter egg for a very specific Wisecrack Live reference that only the realest of the real ones will get that is in that video. I'm telling you this right now. I did it for you to show you that I love you. As my children, as a parent that loves my children, I wanted to give you a special message. It's like if your dad is like a newscaster and he's like, I'm going to wink twice to tell you I love you. Dad did an Easter egg for you to tell you he loved you. So when the Easter eggs video comes out, let's do that. Someone said full-time stream. Let's just do that. I'm just going to full-time. I'm going to, 24/7 camera. It's going to be crazy. So once we get a fresh hole, we'll do it. Let's learn about Stoicism.
Stoicism is everywhere. TED Talks, Stoic
This is a great channel now. Then and Now, follow it if you don't.
TikTok, Stoic Quotes on Instagram, and across all platforms, the ancient Greek and Roman philosophy is seemingly dominated by one
It's near
figure,
the brown dot.
Ryan Holiday, and his Daily Stoic. With 60 million YouTube views, 1.9 million Instagram followers, and several New York Times bestsellers. But is Stoicism
Again, this channel is Then and Now.
all it's cracked up to be? There are many things I admire about the Stoics, and many things to admire about Holiday and his work.
Oh, and I love you.
Ultimately,
And if your dad doesn't love you, he's missing out.
presents an emptied-out interpretation of Stoicism that reduces it to therapeutic self-help cliches.
Husk is right. If you want to watch me sleep, you gotta like streams.
But the broader question is this.
Love Daddy because Daddy
Taking it
loves you.
seriously, is Stoicism faulty in the first place? Does it have some major flaws, some contradictions? Is it a coherent view of the world? One of the first things you're unlikely to learn from Holiday is that the Stoics, starting with the ancient Greek founder Zeno and through to the Greek philosopher Epictetus and the Roman Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, had a philosophical system that was grounded in the worldview of the time.
The Easter egg is in a video on Easter eggs that's coming out, by the way.
As we'll see, That's a pretty long time ago. The ancient Greeks argued that being a Stoic required a study of ethics, which is loosely what Holiday talks about, but also logic and physics. In short, a study of nature and the world.
I'll pause to say unification brings up an interesting point. This is an interesting one because I've enjoyed reading Stoics and I have one of Ryan's books. I mean, I think it can be both though, right? I'm sure that, and I haven't read one of Ryan's books, maybe I will. I'm sure there's lots of great stuff in there. And I'm sure lots of the, quotes he's using and interpretations he's giving are probably correct. I think the issue is almost like the motivation for his framing of things. So in watching this and thinking about this, I think this in no way should be taken as, if you read or watch Ryan Holiday stuff and you find it interesting or helpful, that's bad. Like, I don't know. For example, what's the guy's name? Is it John? No, David Huberman, the guy from Huberman Lab who does like sciencey health stuff. And he's like been on like Rogan and done some other stuff that's kind of sus, but he might not have like good politics, but I've learned a lot of stuff from his podcast. So, we got to be able to, have big enough brains to handle both things.
And the Stoics lived in a very different world to us, one that might have led to some faulty ideas that don't necessarily translate to the modern age. The Stoics had a lot of wisdom, but they were limited too. Remember, they worshipped different gods, believed in personal fate, didn't understand nature as well as we do, and didn't have access to many of the ideas we've developed over the last 2,000 years, and they lived pretty violent, brutish, and short lives.
Wisecrack Live 666@gmail.com.
So let's get stuck in. We'll see what Stoicism is, how to think about it, ask how it emerged and look at what ancient Greece and Rome was actually like, see what other philosophers like Nietzsche and Hegel had to say about the Stoics, look at where its contradictions might lie,
Honeyman
and ask what it says about our own present history.
Only because we talked about it on stream before. I'm sure people saw this. Friggin' Justin Roiland's charges got dropped, and he did the most dickhole Instagram post about it. Real bold stuff. Mr. Navidad, I want to listen to T-Pain's new cover
Historical moment. The foundation of Stoicism, where most start, is what has come to be known as the dichotomy of control. It's from the Greek philosopher Epictetus's Enchiridion, or Handbook, written in 125 AD.
Epictetus says that the first task in life, the first job of the philosopher, is to separate matters into two buckets: what's in our control and what's not in our control. And this exercise, what we call the dichotomy of control, is really at the core of Epictetus's teachings. Is it up to me? Is it not up to me? Holiday
says, Epictetus draws a dividing line between what some have called internal.
Domingo, that's a really good point. The idea that fate stands against the lack of agency we feel. I think that's, and the point Domingo 916 right there makes, I think applies to a lot of stuff right now, that people do feel this overall lack of meaning and control. So we're moving towards like ideology, systems, belief, tendencies that feel like they give us some of that back. Like the stream, if you don't support Al-Qaeda.
Things in our control and externals, things outside of our control. He said, things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and in a word, whatever are not our actions. We don't have any say about what happens to us, but our judgments about what happens to us, our dreams, likes, desires,
I have thoughts, but we won't do a long pause yet,
are in our control. He said, for example, I cannot escape death, but I can escape fear of it. In this formulation, death is an external. We have no control over when it happens, but fear
like the stream if you're pretty sure you're going to die one
day. Fear
day.
of death is an internal. We can control over whether we're afraid of it.
Okay, I'll just pause for a second to say, I think this is interesting, and I think that in the context of a larger system, points like this are interesting. I feel like the risk sometimes is that people can just like cherry pick a part of this to act as if the most important thing is our internal ability to control our own desires and our own thoughts. And this leads to that type of modern self-help therapy, whatever, where, we kind of like let the world be an exploitative shithole, and we just focus on ourselves in a way that can obfuscate the desire to change the world. And I think there's something non-dialectical about considering our internal life in a way that's disconnected from material and social factors outside of that. Now, I'm not saying that the Stoics themselves make that what I would call maybe a category error. I think that many people who use this stuff in a self-helpy way inadvertently do that. And to be fair to the people that do that, I don't think they're intentionally even doing that. I think it's a larger symptom of society right there. Curtis, unlike the stream, so they'll live forever. I'm just doing a bad job of getting people like the stream. I'm sorry. Someone said, hard to follow the stream and chat simultaneously. I should just leave chat breaks. Some of you, though, this is a very, very Adderall-infused community who are able to watch the stream and chat at such a fervent pace.
The problem with this neat line between what we can and can't control
Reagan, that's a good question.
is that on closer inspection, it becomes a little hazy. There are some things we have some control over, some things we could have control over. Some
Ryan,
things we
that's exactly
can't
it.
control right now, but someone else could, and we could have some influence over them, for example. Some things we could have control over if we thought through a way of doing so. Some things we didn't have control over in the past, but could have in some way.
If anyone's French in the chat right now, this is a bit of a digression. Someone said the secret for a male audience. I think very much so. If you're French right here, why are you different? Why is it that in France, they're like, je suis taking away 2 years of your retirement, and people are just like out here burning shit down, and like farmers are dumping shit. And it seems like even right and left agree on this. Whereas in countries like America and England, they could just take everything from us and we'll just be like, oh, shucks. Oh, I don't even know. Just so if you're French, tell us why you're different. What do you think it is culturally that makes you like that?
Epictetus might tell me, for example, that I have no control over how many people.
You're right, James, that Hume would not agree. I don't always agree with Hume, but I like Hume.
Will like this video. I only have control over how much effort I put into it. Which sounds good, sure, but actually that means I do have some control over how many people like it.
Wellbutrin guys.
If I put more effort into it in some way, if I learn in the right ways from past mistakes, if I look earnestly and deeply into the camera lens, into your eyes and say, remember to like, maybe more will, although that was a little bit creepy on second thought, at least please don't switch off. But you see the point. There are lots of things I can do to control what the Stoics call an external factor. This is true with everything. You might say you have no control over the people around
Christopher, I think you're beautiful. And shout out to the whole Wellbutrin gang.
You, your health, the media, political decision-making, nature, but everywhere.
I mean, Cass B brings up, the French have a deeper connection to revolutionary philosophy and workers' rights, which is true. I always think it's so funny that the French Revolution in part was motivated by the American Revolution. And I say in part, which is just so funny that there is a connection between those two. And there was a sort of, I guess, like political philosophical dialogue between those countries in the 1700s, and to see, where the different factors went is crazy. Je ne parle pas français.
Where you look, some small way, you do.
Oh yeah, Greeks go hard as well. Basically, I'm just thinking that Americans and Brits do not
by
go hard.
Engaging in small actions, convincing, arguing.
Oh, my boisson is a sparkling water.
Building, engaging. Everywhere you look, that line between what you can and cannot control blurs. On closer inspection, it looks like it's not a distinct or even real line at all. The division comes out of the thought of Zeno of Citium, the very first Stoic who set up his school of the Stoa in Athens in 301 BC. In trying to figure out what was truly...
So Nate Lynch says, how is it undialectical? I guess the idea there is that you could have like maybe an internal dialectic of thinking about control and lack of control specific to the self, but I think that it's still an undialectical analysis if we're not then thinking about the relationship between the self and society and the way in which the self is shaped via its relations to society, whether that's material forces, economic forces, political forces. And I think sometimes, well, people, and when we're talking about dialectical thinking, in case anyone's like, what the fuck is that? Hey, John Paulson, glad you're here. We're doing well. Hopefully you're doing well. But when we talk about dialectics, we think about the relationship between two things, like right? Two different things. And thought as a process that engages between two different things, forces, ideas, aspects, whatever it might be. And sometimes there's this mistake in dialectical thinking where it's like, oh, so dialectical thinking is thinking about the different aspects of my consciousness. And there you go. But it's not just that. It's also thinking about your consciousness via the consciousness of other humans. But it's not just that. It's those collective consciousnesses versus societal forces. And it's not just that. It's the individual dialectical conscious related to the another individual dialectical conscious related to a group of people dialectically related to a society related to nature. So it kind of like goes all the way down. But there you go. You know what? I feel like I went too weird with that. So let's go.
Good. Zeno looked
Thanks
at
for liking the
things
stream.
that came from the external world, food, wealth, belongings, things like looks and talents that we're born with, and so
yeah, Honeyman says dialectics equals interconnectedness. One of my a friend and one of my favorite philosophers, Soren Roosendahl, a Danish guy, defined dialectics as tensionality once. So this idea that when you say interconnectedness, it's like a tense interconnectedness of a constant like tension between things.
are still out of our control, still an external, and saw that all things could be used for good or bad.
Great email
so they
from
could not
Felix
be
just
considered
now.
categorically and universally
Another
good
one.
in themselves. None of them, talents, wealth, power, food, can be considered.
Someone said, I didn't like y'all dumping for China. Not cool, not cool. Is China wisecracks bias? We didn't dump for China. We were more just shitting on those Congress people. I would say that.
Instantly depended on either. They come and go. They're fleeting. The only thing that decides whether things are used or misused is that we do have control over is our reason, our virtue, our good nature. All the rest, the external, we should, he said, be indifferent to. But again, on closer inspection, this neat dividing line becomes blurry. The problem is that it's difficult to...
That guy's scary. Look at this guy. Look at his eyes. That's a man who, he was like smiling earlier and he got you to come back to his house and now he's about to kill you. And that's the face that he makes when you realize what you thought was gonna be a good time is about to be your murder. So like the stream if you're pretty sure that guy has killed before.
Argue that we should be different to things external to us and acknowledge that they're...
Eddie, you don't have to email me, but we set up a Wisecrack Live email address so that there's fun ways to get in touch. We're not just streaming and just a kind of direct line if you have recommendations, stuff like that, because we're a community. So just think of it as like being able to email your dad whenever you want and your Uncle Henry.
Useful to, because as much as it would be nice if we weren't dependent on them, we are dependent on food, shelter, relationships, and so on. And so Zeno had to say that we had to be both indifferent to them, that they're
She looks like she could use
and
Wellbutrin.
out of our control, and class them as what he called
She definitely needs
preferred
Wellbutrin now, I'm
indifference.
convinced.
That we should prefer to have them
Send
if
her
we can.
Wellbutrin.
As a result of this, the Stoic system comes up against a problem. In trying to categorize things as external and arguing for indifference to them, the philosophy has no way of truly valuing some...
This is inspired by something in chat. Marcus, what do you think? If you had to guess. Yeah, CCJ2 says we're anti-Congress more than pro-China. Wait, where was the comment I just saw that I was going to respond to, and then it went away? Oh, this is in response to Honeyman's comment. Hey guys, I'm going to get real with you for a second. This is a real thing. I got some emails from a Saudi digital media startup company that wanted to license Wisecrack videos for distribution in their words, the Arab world. It felt very fake. And it's been a weird thing of like, just even thinking about that from like a moral perspective, because there was this like part of me, this is me being like real talk, just letting you inside my unconscious mind for a second. So take your headphones off or mute for 30 seconds if you don't want to go there. but it was this thought that was like, what is the limit of which like I would be like, fuck it, let's just like license our videos for Saudi money if it helps us keep afloat. But I mean, I don't think we're going to do it, but I just want to tell you guys, like, it's pretty crazy.
Some things rather than others. It cuts the world off with a stoic guillotine. If you acknowledge a connection to something as part of yourself, your identity, your way of life, you're dissolving that neat line the Stoics tried to construct. In valuing trees for building, nature for food, friendship for conversation, technology to aid us, we're acknowledging that the world isn't external to us, but that we're part of it. As I've said in previous videos, we're not people looking out at nature, but we are nature, reflecting on itself. We need a way.
Yeah, and I think like what he's basically saying here is Hegelian, or at least is Hegelian-ish in how he's describing the relationship between what we could call subject and substance. I'm not trying to get like too into it right now, but that's sort of what's going on here. And you know, you both have people like Hegel and people of that ilk that always want to think, and Spinoza more than anyone, of course, who famously said God or nature, same thing. A bunch of philosophers want to get at this idea that we are embedded in nature in the material world and we're a part of that, and there's an interaction between those two, so there's not that externalization. There's another way to think about the neat categorization of that type of stoicism where, you know, you have people like, you know, Kierkegaard and Nietzsche who will point out the irony that comes when we try to over systematize in such a neat way because life is often messier.
Way of values.
Fox says, Wisecrack Live brought to you by Saudi Arabia and Ben and Jerry's. What flavor would Ben and Jerry make for Saudi Arabia?
And thinking about that is where philosophy often comes in, because without a value system, we have no basis for acting, for
Dead card, I would stop working on vacation if I sold
choosing, for thinking, and valuing, and it's very...
Wait, Nate Lynch says, I don't get what he's trying to say. The guy in the video or me? Because what I take him saying right now on this video is that there's this tendency in Stoicism to create this dividing line between internal and external and really bifurcate the two things. I think what he's trying to get at is there's way more of an interactivity between the two than that neat division would allow for.
Very definition is attachment. In valuing food, we acknowledge that we need it, that we're connected to it, that it's actually part of us.
Honeyman asked Michael, what's the difference between Marxist and Hegelian dialectics? This isn't, I'm not going to say it's inaccurate. This is an overly reductive way to put it, but Hegel's dialectics is largely, this is so vague. I want to say it's an idealism versus materialism. That's why, you know, Marx famously said he put Hegel on his head. I think with Hegel, we're starting the dialectic from thinking about thinking. For Marx, we're starting the dialectic from thinking about material relations. It's almost like Hegel starts from the internal and Marx starts from the external.
Hope, need,
hey, what's up in Barcelona?
Desire, movement, life. All of these are the result of value systems, of connecting us to the world around us. To divide the world, as we'll see shortly, is to alienate ourselves from it. So the next question we should want to ask is, why did the Stoics want to divide themselves from the world? A central message of Stoicism is that life is short, unpredictable.
Night Rogue says, if one blindly follows your philosophical approach without questioning it critically, how is this different from evangelicalism? You're totally right, Night Rogue, and I think that's why philosophy is like a self-reflexive and self-critical activity to really, you know, get back to the OG thing about Socrates and Plato, the notion that philosophy is a process of constant self-examination that like never ends. And that's what philosophy is. And that's, you know, that's why philosophy is dialectical, because in a certain way of thinking about dialectics, that tension never goes away. There's always this fundamental dialectical tension. A bad type of dialectics, if someone in like a intro to philosophy class is ever like, and then Hegel gets to the final sublation where everything comes together again. Yay. No, it's not real. And I think philosophy is the same way. There's a fundamental tension. And it's also because like if philosophy is thinking about the world is changing, we're changing in relation to the world, and our thought changes as a mediator of that relation.
That all things
Dandy,
come and
oil
go,
Ben and Jerry's.
flourish then pass, rise and fall. Things in the universe are transitory. All things human, Seneca reminds us, are short-lived and perishable. Buddhists argue that because of this, we should let go of all desire, because
someone brought up Buddhism
desiring
before.
will only lead to disappointment. However, Stoics allowed for some desire. We should view life's conditions with joy, as Seneca put it. We should be very careful in what we desire, though.
Oh,
We
see you,
should,
Casby.
for the most part,
Ooh, Cocaine
desire
Bear.
only
The
two
Spirituality
things.
Podcast. Amy
One
Berg
is
documentaries.
virtue,
We'll check all those
which
out.
for the Stoics means living according to nature. And we'll come back.
Natural selection says is college useless. We were talking about this before, natural selection. Basically, the idea being that the college degree is probably more useless than we think. There's a Vox article about it. I think maybe we'll, I'll say this now so we remember. Maybe Henry, when we wrap it up, want to toss that article in the description so people can check it out if they want. Enzo says, how can someone detach himself from the world if he's an active part of it? I mean, Enzo, some people would say you can't. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah. And Vox says that I'm saying that being a philosopher means the academic pursuit of investigative thought as opposed to a person touting Stoicism as a philosophy that is an evangelist. Yeah. I mean, I would say that, like, there's a really good book by this French dude, Pierre Hadot, I think, called Philosophy as a Way of Life, that argues for philosophical thinking as a way of existing in the world. No, so John Paulson says this. What's up, Ninja Momtastic? John says, don't you think that the Arab world should be able to watch Wisecrack videos and ideas in their own language? I agree with that, John. I totally agree with that. It's just like a weird balance. And I don't know the answer, John. So this is me trying to be an open-minded, critical thinker in that I don't know what the right answer is there. Let's see. Ryan, this is from the Then and Now channel. I think many of you would like this channel. So if you don't do that, Nate Lynch says, sorry, I'm a plebe. Y'all keep throwing around dialectic. Is that an example of a dialectic? A dialectic is when two seemingly conflicting things are true at the same time. Kind of. It's and you know, Nate, like that's part of it. A dialectic is like I would say like the relationship between opposed things. That's why conversation can be dialectical. You and a friend start having a conversation. You have differing opinions. So there's a dialectical contradiction between your opinions. But maybe in the course of that conversation, you realize that those ideas relate in ways that you didn't realize before, and that it becomes a productive relationship. So one way to think about dialectics is going from a destructive antagonism to a productive antagonism or something like that. But listen, it's so hard. Guys, this is stuff that like you got to think about a lot and then put all the pieces together.
Back to that.
Oh, let's do what Aria is. If anyone has stuff they're listening to, watching, reading, anything like that, share it now. wisecracklive666@gmail.com if you want to get in touch with us this week. And you know, we also as well regularly I check the comments when the live streams are up, so check those out. But share what you're into right now. Let us know. I want to hear. And we can talk about dialectics more. We can talk about Socratic method more. This is also something, I'll say this for our patrons. Maybe I can do a video on this for the Patreon. And again, just a few things, guys, a few things. Being a member helps us. If you want to be a member of the YouTube channel, join our Patreon really helps us. But the most important thing you can do to support our channel is just like watch it, comment, like it, feed the algorithm.
Is tranquility, eudaimonia, good spirit, calmness. To find this sense of calmness, Seneca counseled that we should always reflect on the bad things that could happen to us. Misfortune,
Succession, new season coming
felt
out.
most by those who expect nothing but good
Eric, good to see you. Better late than never.
So if we take note of or
Thornback, Otessa Moshvog's books are so gnarly.
imagine the bad things that might happen to us.
Oh, Honeyman. Yes, I'm going to get on that soon. Yeah. Honeyman, remind me in the exclusive content channel. But yes. Maybe I'll fucking do that today. Maybe it's time.
Before we start a task that might be
Someone says, you think Wisecrack is biased? No, we're based.
Frustrating, or go on a journey where we might get stuck in traffic. If we do this, the misfortune will have less of an impact on us. Epictetus, for example,
I watched the first episode of Swarm and it was a lot. I guess I'll get back into it.
Said that as we care for our children, we should also reflect on the possibility
I say
that they
Anthropocene
could
and so many
die
other words
tomorrow.
wrong.
So on the one hand, we should remember that life is short, painful, harsh, and frustrating.
Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up here for today. We'll see you next week. Wisecrack Live, same time, same place. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, you can always go back and watch these as VODs if you missed part of it. It's not as much fun because you can't be with the chat, but you can jump in the comments there. You know, I'll say this. If you like this and have fun doing it, Manhattan Beach by Jennifer Egan's a really good book. If you guys like the stream, I don't know, tell friends about it, share stuff. If you want to get in touch with us during the week, hit up wisecracklive666@gmail.com. I just got a cool email from Eddie that I really appreciate. But yeah, we're checking all those. We're not gonna like write back to all of them, you know, but we read all of them, and it's very cool to have a way to keep in touch during the week. And you know, all the other shit. Like if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Michael O'Burns. Henry's on Twitter as well. Wisecrack's on Twitter. You know, Trump's gonna be back on Twitter soon. So there you go. Thanks for all the membership gifting today. That was cool. And know that dad loves you. No matter what happens to you in the next week, know that dad loves you. And Monday, guys, Monday, the nihilism video. Watch it, share it. Please, 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 please. Okay, cool. Let's see. We'll see you later. Thanks for a fun stream, guys. Very much appreciate you. If you haven't liked it yet, like it on the way out.
See y'all next week. Bye.